Ayo, LAZ, make sure you check that full video on YouTube, Scar City, Soul Cypher Volume 1. Leave a comment, tell them Z-Man Suicide Polo with the Ski Man sent you. Ayo, LAZ, man, promote on my Instagram page and get seen by real celebrities and important people. You heard, and that's a whole fact. Send me a DM at Real Saint Laz on Instagram or email at thegenpopllc@gmail.com. You heard? Come get some of this organic promo. My Instagram page got reach. Whole industry be tapped in. Whole New York City be tapped in. And that's a whole fact. You heard? Holla at me for them story posts. Holla at me for them reels. My reels be going crazy. Know what I mean? Get at me, man. Get in the loop of things. You heard? If you need the double-decker YouTube and Instagram promo, I got you. Send me a message. DM me. Real Saint Laz. You're...
The reality is, it's a hustle. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business locking up black people. 100%. And the percentage of us that get falsely accused and wrongfully convicted, to them, it's just an occupational hazard. They know it's 30% of motherfuckers in jail that didn't do the crime that they was convicted of, but they're not going to let that stop that multi-trillion-dollar business of locking us up, getting taxes off of us being in jail, motherfucking hiring law enforcement and correction officers and doctors and dentists and carpenters to teach the inmates how to do shit. That shit is a multi-trillion-dollar economy.
About my wrongful conviction and shine some light on laws giving mandatory life sentences for first-time drug offenders. So right now, I'm calling for Greenhaven Correctional Facility. My name's Anthony Baptiste, mostly known from my celebrity events as Glover of the LI Dream Team, or my Instagram name at Tone Legacy. So I was arrested in 2016 on Long Island for operating as a major drug trafficker and other related drug charges. In 2017, I went to trial, and after being wrongfully convicted as a first-time offender for a nonviolent drug case, I was sentenced to 46 years to life. And I was eventually recalculated to 51 years to life. Once I came up north, there's only 3 places you'll find me. I'm either in the law library, in the weight shack, or playing that phone. I also became a certified paralegal through a mail-in test program called Blackstone Career Institute that's located out in Pennsylvania. And so eventually I was assigned an appeal attorney because I couldn't afford $50,000 retainer for a private one. The courts ended up denying my appeal, but modified my sentence. The modification changed my release date from 2062 to 2039, but still fighting my case, but now with no lawyer. A couple months after that, I submitted multiple motions to different courts, and one of the motions that I got a decision on, challenging my sentencing, was granted, and mainly, and all the other motions that was basically showing that I was wrongfully convicted still pending in front of the courts right now. But based on that decision on my motion based on the sentencing, it reduced my time to a point that just last week I was meeting with my counselor, and she just put me on and told me that I'm eligible for work release, and told me that I should expect to be released by this summer. So definitely just got some recent good news. So right now, just getting all my ducks in a row to get back to the world, use my skills and talents to do some big positive things out there, while I still fight to prove I was wrongfully convicted. But
yeah, I was reading up in your case, and it was saying that it was police that was found to be crooked, and then he lied and planted evidence and all type of stuff like that or whatever. Like, what was that about? Why they was hating on you so much like that?
All right. Well, what it was at that time of the investigation that I didn't know about was the DA at that time was Thomas Boda, and he was planning on trying to run for election again. So he was basically given the police department, who was ran by some dude named James Burke, basically free for all to just try to make anything stick, and he was basically trying to make anything seem big just so he could regain public confidence. So how my case ended up getting involved in that situation was basically me doing the things that I was doing out there as far as the major events and big things. It kind of fit a narrative as a big player out there in Long Island. So this was all basically like a PR stunt to him.
What part of Long Island was this?
Suffolk County. So Suffolk County. And I was doing parties in Suffolk, Nassau, and all that. But like I said, the whole thing was that this was never supposed to be even investigated or looked at as some type of major trafficking kingpin case. Evidence don't even add up to that or anything like that. But I said not to get into too much details on the case because I still got things pending in court. Surely and believe that the DA at the time, Thomas Boda, who's actually currently in the feds right now, and the police chief, who was his go-to man, came out. He did time in the feds after he got caught up, and actually just recently got rearrested for soliciting prostitution. Definitely was doing crooked things to try to make this look and exploit it to be something that it's really not. And what I was trying to explain to some brothers in here is when the major trafficking charge came out, there was actually a law that came out in 2009, the same time that the Rockefeller laws was abolished. And basically it replaced the reasons why they abolished the Rockefeller laws was because they felt there was too much of a punishment to give mandated life sentences for any drug crime. And now what's really going on is if a prosecutor or law enforcement is working below a standard of integrity, it's nothing to make any little drug beef into a major trafficking case, because the law is so vague, they got so much wiggle room to kind of play and circumvent things. And that's really what's going on. That's really how I got caught up in this whole exploitation, putting me all over the news, papers, and it's like he just needed something to push to the people to gain public confidence, to regain public confidence at the time.
Yeah, that's crazy that that's crazy that they gave you all that time though for some drugs.
Drugs. This is what's going on in 2024, you know, and people think it's not happening. It's like, you know, when you start trying to call people kingpins, major traffickers, we already have a perception of what that looks like. What New York was intended, the New York legislation, what they were intending for when making these major trafficking laws was to fit that perception. Now, what certain prosecutors are doing, like what happened with me by Thomas Boda and Chief Burke, is able to really sell any story. You know how they say they can indict a ham sandwich in a grand jury. Yeah, they could. If that's what they really want something to look like, yeah, they could make it look like that. They could make it look like a major trafficking case. As far as details of my case, this was there was no drug organization. There was only police. There was only law enforcement that testified in my trial. No witnesses, anything like that. And it was just me by myself in trial and saying I'm basically a one-man major trafficking organization.
And you was the only, you ain't had no co-defendants. You was the only one they snatched up.
I had two co-defendants. One at the time. One was my girlfriend at the time, who was basically just got a misdemeanor for a facilitation charge, so she wasn't really part of the case. And I had one other co-defendant who eventually ended up taking a plea, and I ended up basically going to trial by myself. Nobody testified against me. As far as codeine, anything like that. And so it's like, yeah, only people that testified was law enforcement. Except the law enforcement, there was no one else that came on the stand and said, yes, I did this, that, and the third. And this is what was going on in the trial. There's a big difference between punching somebody and catching a manslaughter charge. You get what I'm saying? You can't go and give a person that got an assault 15 years to life and just because you want to. That's why the law had established certain laws and give certain criteria based on the level of a crime. And yes, I have motions in the court pending, and there's a lot more I can get into that, you know, if I was able to sit down and talk with a organizational attorney and stuff like that, they'll be able to see based on law and facts on how this even came about. So, you know, and like I said, just to clear up, like I said, this was all part of a prior administration led by Thomas Boulder and Police Chief James Burke.
And how long you said you laid up before you gave the time back?
Oh, so I got locked up 2016, went to trial 2017, and came up north 2018. So it was I just recently, my appeal, I had to wait to get assigned an appeal attorney and all that process. So it was around like I'm gonna say it was like 2020, the whole appeal thing was going on. Decision came about, I believe, 2022. Top of 2022, and by the summertime, I was going back to court and getting my time reduction. So yeah, so it was like altogether, based on just on the process of even getting an attorney, having them assign me an attorney, do the appeal, but soon after I received that decision on appeal, I was on it. You know, I just went back to the law library, picking brains, doing research, and I came up with a motion, and I was blessed to see how to be able to see and prove how my sentence was illegal, and basically changed the whole trajectory of my whole situation. Planning on getting out of here by the summer. So, like, even though just still getting out of here by summer, I'm still fighting tooth and nail to prove that I should never have been in this situation to begin with, as far as being labeled as a major trafficker and everything. And just hoping to raise some awareness and find some assistance, or, you know, willing to just have a sit down so we can just have a discussion with an attorney organization, and, you know, let them make their own determination based on things that I could show them, you know.
And you said you in Green. You said you in Green Haven right now?
Yeah, I'm in Green Haven Correctional Facility right now. Absolutely.
How long you been there?
I came here end of Christmas Eve 2021. Before here I was in Clinton. So these are only two spots that I've been at. Yeah,
so let me ask you this.
What's up?
What type of emotional turmoil was you going through, having to go to sleep in a maximum security cell, knowing that you was falsely accused of some shit and illegally sentenced? Like, how does one even function with his regular life with that type of time hanging over their head for something that they ain't do?
It takes my situation, I can talk to myself. It takes perseverance, faith, you know what I mean? Like, I was crushed. I just came here. You know, it's like you live in, it's kind of like an illusion, you know what I'm saying? You know, just like, what am I doing here? When reality started kicking in, I really had to just start dragging my feet into the law library because I just knew something was wrong. So it's not easy, you know what I'm saying? Like, when someone just, you know, it's easy to just give cliches out. Oh yeah, just so you guys stay strong, you're determined. These cliches is easy to say, but nah, it wasn't easy. You know, if I could do this whole thing again, I'd have a big question mark. You know what I'm saying? Because I say that because now at the end of the road, versus what I chose to do with my time, I could see how I use it to my personal advantage. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of growing in here. And those were the things that I held on to that allowed me to wake up every day with a purpose. If that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying?
So it's like, yo, when you go home, you returning to Suffolk County?
Nah, that's not the plan. That's not the plan. As far as residence-wise, Suffolk County is not the plan. What I do hope to have the opportunity, though, is actually still partake in doing some positive things out in the communities out there. You know, like, you know, there's what I come to realize being in prison is the mentality of a lot of people that's incarcerated is really something that they didn't ask for. You know what I'm saying? So if I could come and be an opportunity for someone to see someone that's relatable, but to be able to see a different perspective on the things that we're all looking at, then I think that's just something that I must do at this point, you know. And I'm just a firm believer everything starts with the youth. You know what I mean? This is where the brains really could absorb things, and like I said, if it's something the person's willing to listen to, then it'll absorb. So I've been doing that my whole time here. You know, the assistant commissioner here wrote a letter. I'm acknowledged as a credible messenger in the facility. You know, and I just lead by action. You know, people see how I've been bidding, and it doesn't surprise them to see that they see the results that came out of it. You know, and like I said, this is just an opportunity also to see the other side. You know, when we're out there in the world, we all live in our own lives and don't really understand the lives of other people. So I haven't really seen the severity of how a person sees the world plays a detrimental effect on what they will really become. You know what I mean? And so it's like this whole desensitization, this whole thing being desensitized of coming to prison and just coming back to the town, and the whole perspective on this, like it's really not nothing, is something I've been able to rewire. The idea that I've been able to kind of like help rewire it to see exactly what this is for and what is actually being lost. What's actually being lost by being in here, you know? And that's really like it's really something that I really see that I have. It's giving me more purpose, you know what I'm saying? It's something I really want to do when I step out. And yeah, and doing that at a place that I originally came from, absolutely. You know, one of the first things I will be doing is trying to work with organizations dealing with youth. I'm also hoping to be able to get my certified alcohol substance abuse treatment, certified at that, and also work with people that are struggling with drug abuse. You know, so these are things that if I didn't have a second myself to really sit down and look at things and put things in perspective and seeing what was really, really important to me and what was not, that I wouldn't even have these ideas right now, you know, to even want to do all this stuff that I want to do when I get out. So this was like kind of like like I said, the gift and the curse of the situation. You know, I would never recommend or try to say, oh, go to a correctional facility to find yourself. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That would never be my recommendation. But I'm just saying, having the time to kind of step away and utilize this time to really correct myself. You know what I mean? That was a choice that I had to make, to correct myself and just certain things and ways that I'm thinking, that I took all advantage of every day while being in here.
Yeah, man, they say the universe is going to lead you to wherever you closest to God. You feel me? If you could be close to God and be one with the universe and all of that in these streets, that's a blessing. But if you can't, you might end up close when you get in that cell.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
The sad thing is, though, I wonder how many other dudes was wrongfully accused by those police in Suffolk County, because I heard Suffolk County can be a real racist place as far as law enforcement is concerned. One of my mans for my projects, shout out my bro Bugatti Black, he was locked up in Nassau County, like caught a case out there, and he said even Nassau County was ridiculously racist with like the COs in their jail and all of that, and how black people was treated in that jail. He said they was smashing dudes out, putting dudes in comas. You feel what I'm saying? So I can imagine how Suffolk County jail is. How was that? You had to lay up in Suffolk County before you got sentenced and all of that?
Yeah, so when I was in Suffolk County, from my just personal experience, I definitely, I done seen, I can say I done heard of things going on to other people and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? I can't say personally that I've witnessed it. I know the history prior to me, it has a strong, deep-rooted history on racism, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna come on here and say like, oh yes, I've seen people getting fucked up and this, that, and third. I haven't really seen it too crazy, you know what I mean? I done witnessed some shit going on while in the Department of Corrections. That I've definitely seen, you know what I mean? That's not no secret to anybody. But Suffolk County is something that even your lawyer would tell you. You know, that's a famous line to try to get someone to take a plea, like, and it's sad, like, you know what I mean? Lawyers would tell people, like, listen, you know, you're black. You already know you go to trial with, you're going to be found guilty. Like, this is the kind of things that persuade people to take deals. You know what I'm saying? And
That's terrible.
So that's no secret. You know what I mean? As far as the deep-rooted history of racism, you know, they done showed stats on that. Like I said, I don't know what's going on as of currently right now, the administration now that's down there, you know, but I could just only talk on from what was going on when I was down there and things that was known to many prior to me even being arrested, you know. You don't know the history of the Rockefeller laws. Following a lot of advocating, especially from celebrities in the hip-hop industry, in 2009, New York State legislation abolished the Rockefeller drug laws that were given mandated life sentences for the selling of any narcotics. But what didn't get a lot of attention was that in that same year, legislation passed a law giving mandated life sentences for major drug traffickers known as kingpins. The problem is the law is so vague that any law enforcement agency that's working below a certain standard of integrity is capable of turning any of their drug investigation into a major drug trafficking case and give out life sentences to people who that charge was not intended for. And this is what happened to me under ex-Suffolk County DA Thomas Porter, who is currently in the feds, and ex-police chief James Burke, who was in the feds but recently was rearrested for soliciting prostitution. And hopefully there's some attorneys or organizations willing to have a sit down so I could show them based on law and facts how I was wrongfully convicted, and hope advocates for the drug law reform can use my case as a point of reference in future discussions. You can see more about my case and some past celebrity events on my Instagram page at Tone Legacy. It's TONELEGACY. I can be reached directly by downloading the JPay app, use my prisoner ID 18A0067, or email me at anthonybaptistelaw@gmail.com. Last, appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk with the public about what's going on and shine some light to this new major drug trafficking charge that's giving drug offenders mandated life sentences in prison.
That law is insane. That's the next law that needs to be abolished quickly.
Absolutely. And all for the same reasons that Rockefeller law was abolished.
I'm sure that new law, that kingpin law, I'm sure it's extreme racial disparity in that. Like, I'm sure it's mostly black people getting caught up with that.
Now, it's good that you actually in here. Shout out to Hassan. He made it home. The person that definitely I was picking the brain a lot on my case. He actually did some stats and statistics. And if you line up all the people that was actually charged with that charge, and the people that actually went to trial, which is easy for someone to really look up, you see the major disparity is clear as day as far as what people are being convicted and sentenced for this compared to the people that's not really getting charged with this crime, and that's absolutely 100%, they, whatever thing they want to try to blame it on and whatever case may be, but, we understand how these things is not just systematic, you know what I mean? We understand how these things are systematic, and it's just not by chance or coincidence that these numbers are reflecting what they are. But he definitely did a whole thing looking at cases, how many major drug trafficking cases in total was out there, besides just the people that went to trial. So yeah, he that's a good thing. I'm hoping to try to get in contact with him and see the results of his research on that. It's a fact. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. It's basically, to me, my personal opinion, is just a replacement of the Rockefeller laws. It's really,
Yeah,
right,
and a lot of people probably. Yeah, because I was wondering, I heard those Rockefeller laws was abolished, but I was still running into people that had life sentences for drugs, and I ain't understand it.
Yeah, so to my understanding of it, which is not knowing everything, is you still have people on that parole that didn't fit into a certain criteria for it to be retroactive, meaning that it wasn't it didn't pertain. Because the law came out after their case, didn't pertain to them. So I don't know now, and that's something I'm actually going to go look up to see now, what is their positioning on people that was convicted under the Rockefeller laws, if there's still people here right now that are still doing life parole based on that law. So that's, but when I was being informed about that, because I ran into people, that was when I was in the beginning of my bid, that was here violating parole that they received from the Rockefeller laws back then. Absolutely. And this, like I said, the law could be a tricky thing. You always got to look at the fine print. I like to say between the words to really understand in detail what is it that a person is being charged with, what is it that the person has that's really his rights. It's not just a simple task to really understand this law sometimes. But yeah, we both witnessed the same thing, and I'm gonna look into that too. That's a good question to see where they stand right now as far as life is on. People that's on life parole who receive their parole due to drug charges from the Rockefeller era. It's crazy.
We live in a day and age, man, where, of course, there's all type of white supremacy still existing out here. And, black people in this country, we always going to be victims of that white supremacy. But we living in a day and age now with social media and shit, where if you want it and you determined, you could blow the cover off a lot of that racist shit, and these laws will get changed, and things will change, man, because we living in a different world now where even white people, a lot of white people out there are understanding what white supremacy culture does to black people, and even they want some of those things changed. You feel me? So,
yes, absolutely.
Luckily we live in these days and times with the internet and social media and shit like that, because the word gets out there. Like, imagine in the 80s and the 90s, people that was wrongfully convicted of things, they had no outlets but to write 100 letters. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, luckily we live in this day and age, man, where we can make a lot more noise about these things.
They didn't have no lads. That's what they didn't have. You get what I'm saying?
Word up.
They didn't have no lads. You know, they didn't have these things. Like, it was all closed doors. It was really, like you said, there was no outlet for it to get out. And it's all about really just a mindset change, you know what I'm saying? If people realize the power that they have in their voice and what they have on the tip of their fingers, with their phone, computer, absolutely, you know.
Yeah, I feel like our people been through so much shit in this country, bro. I feel like we've been through so much, and we've been victims of so much white supremacy and you know, slavery, all this shit that our people went through. I feel like anybody that really puts their foot down and says, I'm not letting these people take my life, I'm going to fight this shit and I'm going to get it. I feel like anybody that really locks in and goes super hard got a good chance of coming home. I always reference this one particular book on this channel, a book that I read called The Master Plan. You might have heard about it, about a dude from Baltimore, Chris something. I always forget his name, my fault. But he wrote a book called The Master Plan, where son was 16 years old, and in the state that he was in, you know, the laws were so crazy, they turned his lights out with life with no chance of parole at 16 for a homicide and a robbery. And, you know, at first he accepted that shit, but then years later, he started having an awakening like, yo, hold on. I was 16 years old, lost and blind, miseducated, led astray, you feel me, victim of all of this shit black people are victims of in this country. He said, man, I'm not trying to hear this shit. And he started writing 10 million letters to everybody he could write to. He went crazy. He started educating himself and reading everything in the library that wasn't nailed down, and he just wouldn't quit, bro. And he had life with no chance of parole. You feel me? Like, period. It wasn't no chance. And son just did not accept it. And he wrote, his pen game was so crazy that eventually some people contacted him back and said, we gonna take your case pro bono and we gonna get you out of there. Because there's no way in the world you should be 16 years old. You should be doing life for something that you did at 16 years old, no matter what the circumstances was.
That's a fact. 100% fact. I think they made studies on, like, you know, the frontal lobe of the brain is not developed until like your 20s or something like
25,
that.
25 years old.
25, right?
Yeah, your part of your brain that doesn't yet understand consequence isn't developed. So literally in the court of law and in medicine, a male teenager like 16, 17, you are damn near, you are centimeters away to being considered insane. Like, the things we do as teenagers, some people can consider that shit insane. Like, you hear about dudes in the hood, yo, son was 16, he opened fire with the Mac 11 on the whole train, and yeah, all of that shit is crazy, because when you 16 with parents on drugs, or you in the streets and your father's in jail, or you don't know your father and you run in these streets, you are kind of crazy. You are kind of crazy, and you do need some help. So a lot of the shit people do, once they become of age, they get 25 and older, you see a lot of these dudes, they ain't even in the streets no more.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because, bruh, in our youth, we are not focused yet. And the way we live in the projects and the ghettos, and, you know, drug addicted parents, and, you know, economically disadvantaged and shit like that, all of that shit adds on to the insanity.
All plays a factor.
Yeah, all of that, yeah. So, you know, it's people that 60 be like, yo, he creep, yo, but what if he would have killed you? Yo, even if he would have killed my peoples, bro, at 16 years old, I know and understand that you are not the same human being at 16 that you are at 40.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's, you know, truth be told, common sense. You get what I'm saying? It's common sense. And for those that have at things for what it is and try to find another route. Because obviously, the criminal justice system in New York, we know has its flaws. So why continue on a path that you know is not basically giving the results that
you being hustled, man. At the end of the day, when you come into the reality and understanding of all of this shit, you know, we think we tough guys and thugs and criminals and drug lords, but really we being hustled by a system that's been around before we was here and will be around after we're here. And our fathers and grandfathers and all of them got caught up in this shit. A lot of them did too. And the reality is, it's a hustle. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business locking up black people.
100%.
So, and the percentage of us that get falsely accused and wrongfully convicted, to them, it's just an occupational hazard. They know it's 30% of motherfuckers in jail that didn't do the crime that they was convicted of, but they're not gonna let that stop that multi-trillion-dollar business of locking us up, getting taxes off of us being in jail, motherfucking hiring law enforcement and correction officers and doctors and dentists and carpenters to teach the inmates how to do shit. That shit is a multi-trillion-dollar economy, locking up black people. So when we in these streets shooting and robbing and stealing, just know and understand, you think you a hustler, but the system of white supremacy is the real hustler.
They got this thing mapped down. It's mapped down. They definitely got this mapped down. But there's one thing you said though, that in all in all, right? When your person understands what this is, now it's either fight or flight, you know what I'm saying? And I've been always told by a lot of the old heads here, when they see how I'm moving in here, it never fails that a person that's moving in a certain way usually ends up getting the certain results. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said about that kid that you said in Baltimore, right, from the book?
Yeah.
When he didn't let his pen stop moving. He didn't put his pen down. He kept on going. He kept on pushing. Gosh, I know he probably got a million no's before he got that one yes.
That's
you know
a
what I'm
fact.
saying? So there's people in here sitting, and if they was to really put in that effort in the work, they could be part of that minority.
Straight up. And that's why the court, and that's why the system is so brutal and heartless, because at the end of the day, there is always a loophole that could get you home. You just gotta wanna find it, and you gotta put that work in. It's people sitting in that pen right now, they could give that whole 25 to life back, but it's gonna take a brutal grind of writing 10,000 letters, filing 10,000 motions, not giving up. You gotta be a psycho. You gotta go crazy in order to get home, but you can get home, and that's why they don't care. Because at the end of the day, bro, the mind controls all matter. And if you get your mind to the level where you can't be stopped, nothing will be able to stop you. Brick and steel won't be able to hold you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 100%. And that's really what my journey consisted of, you know. It's not easy. Nobody said nothing about easy. You know what I mean? It's not easy. A lot of long nights. I'm still here filing motions. I'm still here trying to keep up with deadlines. Even with the good news, with a total of 36 years taken off my time. This fight is I'm still in here right now. You know? And like I said, a lot of people that made their way out the door, they could understand that grind. There's no easy way. They're not going to make this easy for a person to fight for their case. And it really doesn't, at the end of the day, even if you have all the money in the world to hire an attorney, you could be your attorney's best asset by at least educating yourself and understanding your case and the law surrounding your situation. Nobody's going to defend you like yourself.
That's a fact.
You know? And that's reality. This is not
that lawyer in the streets, that lawyer free.
Version. What's up?
I said that lawyer is in the streets. He go home to his wife and kids every night. So the passion that he have to get you home ain't gonna be the same as your passion to get home.
100%. 100%. And yeah, that's really what it is, man. Like so just talking about this, it's just flashing back to really what I had to go through this past 8 years just to get to this point. Because at one point, my reality was coming home at 2062. I've seen people that has a major drug trafficking charge. I'm in here with people that got 15, 16 years in a 40-year sentence, 40-year to life sentence. Still trying to some of them just starting to try to figure it out. Some of them been trying to figure it out, still trying to find an angle. I done seen someone, shout out to Jose Rodriguez, he's in the county right now, upstate, about to go home, that had 46 years. He's I think he was the first person to go to trial on the major trafficking charge. Off of a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Law, got some documents from the DA. A little technicality just got him walking out the door. He didn't know about that technicality, anything, but he just didn't stop fighting. So look, we're going inside right now. Gotta go back inside. Lads, I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, bro.
And definitely gonna keep you updated on everything, all right?
All right, this will be out soon. I appreciate you, my bro. Stay up.
You're ready.
All right, my bro.
Hey yo, whatever streaming platform you listen to music on, type in Gen Pop Jail Stories, Gen Pop St. Laz, and catch that new installment of these Gen Pop jail and prison stories that I got out right now. You heard, this particular album is all my jail stories. You heard? There's 3 Gen Pop volumes out there. Make sure you go check all of those. You're Z-Lord.
Hey yo, LAZ reporting live from New York City, you heard? If you represent that book gang, that reading gang, and you ain't reading that blood sagas, you bugging out, you heard? If you got peoples in the penitentiary, send them that fire. You heard? Make sure this is on your book list, the blood sagas. Go to bloodsaga.com and download the digital version. And that audio book is on the way, you heard? Z-Man Suicide Polo with the Ski Man, get at me.
Had to bust the up north jail pose on that. You heard? Go cop that fire. Hey yo, if you need t-shirt designs and t-shirt pressing, go to the Family Tree 335 on Instagram. You heard? Send them a DM. Tell them LAZ sent you.